Let's talk about addiction for a minute. You've probably heard people say stuff like, oh, they just need to quit. It's all about willpower. Maybe you've even thought it yourself. Someone's hooked on booze, pills, or their phone, and you figure, if they really wanted to, they'd stop. But here, where it gets interesting, Carl Jung, this genius who spent his life poking around in the human soul, would tell you that's missing the point. To him, addiction isn't about being weak or lazy. It's about a soul that's hurting, reaching for something it can't find, something big, like meaning or connection. The real issue isn't the drug or the drink, it's what they're standing in for. Jung saw folks caught in addiction as seekers, people chasing a spark they can't quite name. Maybe it's a sense of purpose, a feeling of being whole, or just a taste of something that lifts them out of the grind. But they're looking in the wrong spots. That shot of whiskey that hit off a pipe, that endless scroll through Instagram, it's all a substitute for what's missing. It works for a hot second, numbs the ache, calms the storm inside. But it's a scam. The calm fades and that empty feeling rolls back in, heavier than before. Picture this, you're starving, right? But instead of a real meal, you grab a candy bar. It shuts your stomach up for a bit, but soon you're hungrier than ever. That's what addiction's like. It's a quick fix for your soul, not the nourishment it's crying for. And what's it crying for? Jung would say it's life, real, messy, meaningful life. Something that makes you feel connected, alive, like you're part of something bigger. Let's start with how most people see it. Addiction looks simple on the surface. Bad habit, weak person, just stop already. But if you've ever been there or watched someone wrestle with it, you know that's too easy. Jung didn't buy it. He saw addicts as people dealing with something way deeper than a lack of grit. To him, they're not failures. They're humans with a crack running through their core, a gap between who they are and who they're meant to be. Think of it like someone lost at sea, grabbing anything that floats. That's the addict, drowning in a way they can't explain, clutching at whatever's close. A bottle, a bet, a screen. They're not after the thing itself. They're after what it promises, a way out, a moment of feeling okay. But it's a mirage. It keeps them afloat for a minute, then sinks them deeper. Jung spent his life figuring out the psyche, and he was clear. We've all got this inner fire, this energy that drives us. When we lose it, maybe life's kicked us around too much, or we've shoved parts of ourselves down. We start to feel that void. Addiction's like a knockoff version of that fire. It flickers, sure, but it doesn't warm you. It's a distraction from the big question. What's really gone missing here? Here's where Jung shakes things up. He didn't think kicking addiction was just about saying no. That's part of it, but it's not the heart of it. He saw it as a spiritual hunger, a deep, gnawing need for something that makes life make sense. Now, spiritual doesn't mean you've got to pray or chant. Jung was talking about that raw, human urge to connect to yourself, to others, to something vast. Imagine you're wired to seek out meaning, like it's built into your bones. Way back, people had ways to chase that, rituals with drums, wine, sacred plants. They weren't escaping, they were diving in, trying to touch the infinite. Today, we've lost that thread. We're stuck in a world of deadlines and data, and those old paths to depth feel far away. So when that need hits, people grab what's around. Drugs, sex, tech, and hope it'll do the trick. It's like trying to fix a broken leg with a band-aid. It might hold for a sec, but it's not healing anything. Jung saw this in the people he worked with. Someone would stumble in, hooked on something, and he'd dig past the surface. What's this really about? He'd ask. Usually they didn't have an answer, just this restless, hollow vibe they couldn't shake. That's the soul, he'd say, starving for something real. Addiction's its sloppy attempt to fill the hole. The more you lean on it, the more it pulls you away from what you're actually after. This clicked big time with Bill Wilson, who started AA. He reached out to Jung, and Jung hit him with this. The only way out of addiction is a spiritual shift. Not rules or shame, but something that wakes you up inside. That's why AA's got that higher power thing. It's not always about religion. It's about finding something that pulls you back to center. Now, let's chat about symbols, because Jung was obsessed with them. He thought we need these touchstone stories, dreams, pictures to keep our inner world from falling apart. Think about old school cultures, myths with gods and monsters, rituals with fire and song. Those weren't just for kicks. They were like GPS for the soul, helping people navigate the big stuff: pain, purpose, belonging. Fast forward to now, and we're running low on that. We've swapped epic tales for clickbait and deep rituals for quick dopamine hits. Jung said that when those real symbols fade, our soul starts to unravel. We lose our bearings, and addiction swoops in like a fake fix, a shiny toy that promises everything but delivers squat. Take something like gambling. In some ancient setups, it might have been part of a rite, a way to test fate or connect with the unknown. Now it's just a slot machine eating your paycheck. The tool's the same, we've changed. We've hollowed it out, so instead of getting us, it traps us. Jung's point was that without real symbols, we're stuck chasing shadows, and addiction's the shadow we catch. But symbols can pull you back too. Not the cheap ones, but the ones that grab you by the gut. Maybe it's a dream that lingers, a poem that hits home, or a sunset that stops you dead. Jung said those are your psyche's SOS signals, little flares saying, "This way." They're not about overthinking, they're about feeling it, letting them guide you when you're open to it. Okay, here, where it gets real, the shadow. Jung's shadow isn't some creepy villain. It's all the stuff you've buried because it's too raw or ugly to deal with. The anger you pretend isn't there, the sadness you've stuffed down, the desires you've crushed to play nice. Everyone's got one, it's human. But when you keep it locked up, it doesn't just chill. It bangs on the walls, and addiction's often how it breaks out. Think of it like an argument inside you. One side's all, be good, stay in line, don't make waves. The other's screaming, I'm hurting, I'm pissed, let me out. Addiction's what happens when the screamer takes over, but it's a wrecking ball, not a win. It's the shadow saying, notice me. You try to drown it with a fix, but that just pumps up its volume. Ever done something dumb and thought, why the hell did I do that? That's the shadow. It's not evil, it's just fed up with being ignored. And the more you push it down, the harder it pushes back. That's why quitting can feel so flat. You drop the habit, but the ache's still there, clawing at you. Jung's fix wasn't to keep wrestling it, it was to face it. Say, all right, what's up? What's down there? Maybe it's old wounds, abuse you survived, a loss you never mourned, shame you've hauled around forever. It's not out to get you, it's part of you. Until you let it breathe, it's going to keep rattling the cage. Imagine someone's drinking to forget a rough childhood. That pain in their shadow simmering. The booze quiets it for a night, but it's not gone. Facing it might mean therapy, a journal, or just sitting with it instead of running. It's tough as hell, but it's also where your gold's stashed. Your guts, your spark, the you that got lost. So how do you climb out? Jung didn't promise a shortcut, and he wasn't about perfection. Healing's a haul, bumpy, twisty, full of falls. It's not about erasing the addiction, it's about finding what it was chasing. You've got to stop dodging the shadow and start hearing it out. That's where the shift begins. It's not clean cut. It's more like hiking a trail. You trip, you pause, you reroute. Some days you're solid, others you're sliding back. But every stumble teaches you something if you're listening. Maybe you see you're smoking, tied to stress, or you're gaming, about dodging fear. That's the shadow pointing the way. Jung thought symbols were your guideposts. Not the addiction kind, but the real deal, stuff that stirs your soul. A dream that sticks, a story that resonates, a quiet moment that feels alive. They're not cures, they're markers steering you toward what's true. When you grab them, that spiritual itch starts to settle. You don't crave the fake fixes as much because you've got something solid. People matter here, friends who get it, groups who have been there. Therapy can light the path, give you tools to dig. But the real work, that's you alone asking, what do I need? What am I hiding from? And sticking with it. It's letting go of the old you, the addict, the mess, and letting a new you take root. Here's the twist. Jung saw addiction as a botched try at change. That pull to use. It's your soul fighting to bust out, just caught in a rut. Don't squash it, redirect it. Chase what it's really after, love, art, peace. And the addiction starts to fade, not because you're tougher, but because it's not the only game in town. Jung's view isn't about fast tracks or blame. It's about possibility, gritty, honest possibility. He saw that even in the darkest corners, there's a shot at light. The addict's not doomed. They're just off course, hunting for wholeness in a world that's lost the map. When they're ready to look inward, to meet the shadow and hear its tale, they can start finding their way home. So if you're in this or know someone who is, here's the truth. It's not just about quitting. It's about starting a talk with yourself. What's that ache saying? What's missing? It's not a defect, it's a sign. Chase it down, and you might find what you've been after, not in the next hit, but in the wild, real depths of you.